3 sets of footsteps struck the academy corridor behind Vera Caney, quick enough to close distance, but controlled enough to pretend they were not hunting her. Her hand settled over the grip of her sidearm as the blue emergency lights strobed across the polished floor. Years later, she would remember that sound more clearly than the insults, the applause, or the ceremony that followed. Lieutenant Caney. Vera stopped. 3 cadets blocked the corridor behind her. 2 Ythrine balanced on multiple jointed limbs, and a young Caloran whose purple crest was already rising. We require an apology. For what? You know. Vera did know. But the trouble had begun hours earlier. That morning, 3,000 cadets had packed the Grand Assembly Hall to watch the Academy's only human officer fail. Instructor Vormesh had been encouraging them. He circled Vera beneath the violet lights, his scales bright with satisfaction. Humanity has crossed interstellar space for barely 2 centuries. What makes you imagine your species is prepared to command those who have fought among the stars for millennia? Laughter spread through the chamber. Vera kept her hands behind her back. We improved quickly. Your ancestors were climbing trees, while mine commanded fleets. That part is true. More laughter. Vera looked directly at him. But ours eventually stopped climbing trees. The room quieted. From the instructor platform, the massive molar veteran Grath leaned forward. Vormesh's crest reddened. Since confidence appears plentiful, Lieutenant, perhaps you would analyze the Turthos campaign for us. The tactical display filled the center of the hall. Every cadet knew the battle. Caloran history described it as a perfect 3-part assault against the Vexor, a brilliant feint, a sudden strike at their homeworld, and a victory purchased with remarkably few Imperial losses. Vera had spent 3 nights discovering that the celebrated version did not survive arithmetic. She brought up the campaign timeline. The faint fleet supposedly traveled from the 4th planet to the 3rd in 14 standard hours. Vormesh folded his arms. And those dreadnoughts required at least 22. Whispers replaced laughter. Vera shifted the display. The Vexor response is listed at 6 hours. Their psionic detection system had an 11-hour delay across that distance. Vormesh stepped closer. You are questioning an Imperial record. I am checking one. She opened the casualty data. 300 independent defense platforms protected the Vexor homeworld. According to the official account, every platform failed during the attack. That is recorded fact. No. Vera enlarged a command trace she had uncovered in the archive. That is the explanation attached to the fact. The hull went still. This transmission reached the defense network 17 minutes before the Imperial fleet arrived. It originated inside the Vexor command center. A Ythrine cadet stopped clicking its mandibles. Vera pointed at the override sequence. Someone turned the defenses off. The chamber exploded with shouting. Vormesh's crest snapped fully upright. You accuse the Empire of falsifying its greatest campaign. I am saying the fleet entered through a door someone else opened. Grath struck the instructor platform with one enormous paw. The noise died. He stared at Vera. Can you prove that? She displayed the isolated network architecture, the override authentication, and the timing. One simultaneous failure is impossible unless someone with internal access ordered it. Grath studied the evidence for several long seconds. Then he dismissed the entire academy. Everyone except Vera remained confused. Everyone except, apparently, the instructors. When the doors sealed, Grath ordered Vormesh to retrieve a restricted crystal from Archive 7. Vormesh returned furious. Grath inserted it into the tactical system. Classified records appeared. Vera read them twice. The Vexor defenses had indeed been sabotaged by a senior official recruited by Caloran intelligence. She looked at Grath. You already knew. We did. Then why teach the false version? Grath rose. Because thousands of cadets will memorize a legend rather than challenge it. He walked around the display. Some notice the inconsistencies. Fewer investigate them. Almost none risk their standing by saying the answer aloud. Vera glanced toward Vormesh. So this morning was a test. Your entire time here has been a test. The Academy deliberately applied pressure to selected command candidates. Ridicule, isolation, humiliation. It wanted officers whose judgment survived social punishment. Grath removed a palm-sized metal case from his belt. Inside rested a silver emblem associated with the Terran mark of command. 17 humans currently wear one of these. Vera looked at it. And I do. Not yet. He closed the case. In 7 days, you enter the command crucible. 368 cadets had attempted it. All had failed. That was why, later that evening, Vera found 3 angry cadets waiting in the corridor. The Caloran stepped forward. You disgraced generations of our officers. I demonstrated what your instructors already knew. You should have remained silent. No. He lunged. Vera shifted aside and drove her hand beneath his ribs. Air burst from him as he folded. Both Yithrine attacked. She dropped low, swept one set of legs, rolled beneath the second cadet's reach, and came up with her sidearm leveled. Stop. One Yithrine froze. You will not fire inside the Academy. You attacked an armed officer inside the Academy. Its mandibles clicked. Vera steadied the weapon. Decide which rule you trust more. They dragged their Caloran companion away. Only after they disappeared did Vera holster the weapon and discover that her fingers were shaking. The following morning, Grath introduced her to the only 2 other cadets who had uncovered the truth about Turthos. Thorn was molar, broad-shouldered and rust-furred. Ripple belonged to the Flux Collective and held a roughly humanoid shape that flowed like liquid metal. Thorn had privately challenged the records. Ripple had submitted written analysis. Vera had been the only one foolish enough to do it before 3,000 witnesses. The Crucible is not a competition between you, Grath said. Each of you receives a separate impossible scenario. Ripple's surface rippled. Why design an examination without victory? Because real command eventually produces situations where victory is unavailable. Grath looked from one cadet to another. We want to see what remains after hope of winning is removed. That night, Vera received a secret summons. South Training Bay, midnight. Vormesh waited alone inside. She entered with one hand near her weapon. He noticed. Sensible. What do you want? To correct an error. Vera said nothing. Vormesh produced a data chip. I believed human limitations were evidence of human inferiority. This morning demonstrated that difference and weakness are not identical. Coming from him, it sounded almost painful. He tossed her the chip. All 368 previous Crucible attempts. Those are restricted. Yes. Why give them to me? Because I would prefer to discover whether I was wrong about your species before another cadet succeeds in killing you. Vera almost smiled. Generous. Do not become sentimental. He turned toward the door, then stopped. The Crucible studies whoever enters it. Caloran pride becomes recklessness. Molar honor becomes stubbornness. Ythrin's suspicion becomes paralysis. His yellow eyes narrowed. Work out what destroys humans. Vera studied the recordings until artificial dawn brightened her quarters. Eventually, the answer came. Humans possessed an extraordinary refusal to surrender hope. That could save them. It could also waste the time needed to make an unbearable decision. Her crucible scenario exploited exactly that. Haven 7. Population 420,000. Evacuation capacity 210,000. Enemy arrival 6 hours. No reinforcements. No negotiation. No second trip. The simulation waited. Vera wanted a hidden solution. She searched anyway. More cargo volume, impossible. Delay the attackers, barely. Civilian vessels, insufficient. An hour disappeared. She stopped herself. That was the trap. Begin evacuation. The artificial intelligence requested priorities. Children, their parents, medical staff, engineers, agricultural specialists, educators. Continue until every available berth is filled. Commander, projected surface population remaining, 210,000. Vera's jaw tightened. I heard you. 4 hours later, the transports were full. The enemy would arrive in less than 2 hours. The obvious military choice was departure. Vera ordered the transports toward the rally point. Then she kept the warships behind. The AI responded immediately. Remaining fleet has insufficient firepower to alter projected outcome. I know. No additional civilians can be evacuated. I know that too. Then remaining serves no strategic purpose. Vera opened the colony-wide channel. Millions of lights burned across the dark side of Haven 7 beneath her. This is Commander Caney. Her voice nearly failed. She forced it steady. Half of this colony has a place on the transports, half does not. I will not insult you by pretending another ship is coming. The channel remained silent. I cannot save everyone. Vera gripped the console. But those of us still in orbit are not leaving you alone. The first reply came from an industrial engineer. We have plasma cutters at the southern fabrication yards. They are built for hull work, but they can burn through armor. Another voice followed. A doctor offered precision medical lasers. Then power technicians. Mining crews. Former soldiers. Mechanics. People who knew they might have less than 2 hours to live began volunteering equipment. Vera stared at the growing list. Route everything capable of producing directed energy into the defensive grid. Military veterans report to coordination stations. Engineers start adapting targeting controls. The tactical map populated with weak new icons. Pathetic compared with the incoming fleet. But no longer zero. The enemy emerged exactly on schedule. 12 heavy cruisers. 30 fighters. Vera had 2 destroyers, 1 damaged frigate, and a planet covered with improvised weapons. Her breathing slowed. All units hold. The cruisers approached. Hold. Ground crews reported ready. The fighter screen separated. Vera raised her hand. Now. Every surviving weapon fired together. The first destroyer died within seconds. The second lasted longer. The frigate destroyed several fighters before enemy fire tore it apart. Industrial cutters stabbed upward from the planet. Medical lasers converged on damaged sections identified by Vera's targeting network. 1 enemy cruiser lost propulsion. Then the return fire reached the surface. defense icons began disappearing. 1, 5, 20. The final improvised battery went dark. The simulation chamber became silent. Scenario complete. Vera stood with both hands against the console. Evacuated civilians, 210,000. Surface fatalities, 210,000. Colony lost, fleet destroyed. The door opened behind her. Grath entered with the senior instructors. Vera did not turn immediately. I failed. No, Grath said. She faced him. Half of them died. Yes. He did not hide from the number. That is why this scenario exists. Vormesh stood near the doorway, his crest lowered. Grath continued. Some commanders abandoned the colony the moment their transports were full. Others refused to leave anyone behind and lost every civilian with them. He stepped closer. You accepted that you could save only half. Then you protected those half by sending them away. His gaze moved to the dead tactical display. And after making that choice, you remained with the people who had no seat. Vera swallowed. That did not save them. No. Grath opened the small metal case. The test was never asking whether you could create a miracle. It was asking whether you could choose when every available choice carried suffering. He lifted the silver pin. Anyone can appear decisive when every outcome is favorable. Command is revealed when every answer costs lives. Vera's eyes burned. Grath attached the emblem to her uniform. You chose, you carried the consequence, you did not look away. His paw dropped. Commander Caney. No applause followed. That made the moment heavier. At graduation, the hall that had once laughed at Vera listened while she addressed thousands of cadets. She did not praise humanity. She did not condemn the Caloran. Command is not proof that you are better than the person standing beside you, she told them. It is the obligation to answer when everyone else wants someone else to decide. Her fingers touched the new pin. Every species came from somewhere smaller than this hall. Forests, oceans, burrows, mountains. Different beginnings do not decide who deserves to stand here. She found Vormesh among the instructors. We are all still climbing. For the first time, his claws joined the applause without hesitation. Later, Vera crossed the departure field toward an Earth Federation transport. Grath met her at the ramp. Do you know why the mark uses the name Terran? Terra was one of our oldest names for Earth. Exactly. Old names make poor trophies and excellent reminders. He raised a formal salute. Remember your starting point, Commander. Vera returned it. The transport climbed through the Academy's violet sky. She did not watch the towers disappear. Instead, her attention remained on the training field beside the runway. A new group of cadets was forming ranks below while an instructor stalked between them. One cadet stood half a step out of line, corrected position, then lifted their head again. The transport rose higher. The figures became too small to identify. Sunlight crossed Vera's chest and flashed once from the silver pin before the turning ship carried it into shadow.